All right. Now, you've said on occasions, it's very interesting, you seem to allude to or refer to Bitcoin as something of a new life form. And sometimes you refer to it as evolving. You say nothing can compete with Bitcoin as money unless it's a unique, beautiful creature that does something unique. It's like plankton or a lobster. You refer to one of the shitcoins out there, Ethereum, as a shark duck that lives in trees. Right? So you use these life-affirming metaphors quite often, but the idea the reason I bring this up is because the difficulty adjustment, the way it acts, seems like it's alive in a lot of ways. So what are your thoughts on this?
I think that a crypto is a living creature. We've released life in cyberspace, and Bitcoin you could think of as a plant life or a plankton. It's a base level life. It's not the most complicated creature. It's not. You could think of some of the other DeFis. They want to be animals and run around, and Bitcoin wants to be greenery and cover the entire earth. Once you've released the DNA of the Bitcoin, you just have to let it fester everywhere in the world and let it be it. I think the beautiful thing about Bitcoin is it's done. There's no reason why it can't become a $100 trillion, $200, $300 trillion creature. And the fundamental difference, I think, with a crypto asset like Bitcoin versus what other people are trying to do in this space is the whole idea of a crypto asset is I put my monetary energy, my life force into it, and then I let it live for the next 1,000 years. And it's okay just to be alive for 1,000 years. It's okay to be, what's wrong with being rich forever, right? I mean, and that's what Bitcoin is. And then all of the innovation will take place at the layer 2. I think when Square builds Bitcoin, when PayPal builds Bitcoin into its layer 2, as people build Lightning applications into their applications on the layer 2, I think they're doing all the beautiful, intricate, functional, high-performance things, and they take the risk, they have the upside, but we don't impair the underlying base layer. The life force of the world is Bitcoin. We just got to let it be and respect it for what it is and not mess with it.
Now, so let me ask you this. So you are, I believe, the longest sitting CEO of a tech company in America. Active CEO, continuous, going 20 years. And you've been around the block a few times. You know the industry. And this is like a second life for you, I would say. Was it a shock to suddenly come upon this technology? And really, there's been a rebirth for MicroStrategy and for this industry. How do you, on a personal level, was that a surprise to you, and how did you react to that?
I mean, they say we say Bitcoin is hope, and Bitcoin fixes everything. I think it definitely was the case with our company. I mean, our stock was at $90 a share. We were $120 a share when we actually decided to embark on this strategy, and it imbued life into the company. Life into the employee morale was dramatically boosted. We just had our best first quarter we've had in a decade. I was ready to quietly retire. I had not posted on Facebook, not posted on Instagram, not posted on Twitter for 4 years, just about. And then Bitcoin happened to me, and I got dragged into the limelight again. And here I am.
Right. Yeah, it's a really incredible story. And so you mentioned something I was curious about, the culture at the company. The CEO kind of establishes the mood, the culture of the company. So the Bitcoin now has changed the culture. You've seen a change in what's going on at MicroStrategy in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, the employees are really fired up.
Would you say that that's another selling point? In other words, when you talk to other CEOs, you say, oh, the stock's great, this asset's great, melting ice cube is great. But you know what? The culture at our company is also great. We got, I think you have 2,000 employees. It's a big company. It's also a huge benefit there. Is that another point that needs to get across to these CEOs that might be sitting on the fence?
You know, Bitcoin is a technical imperative, it's an economic imperative, and it's a moral imperative. And if you want to revitalize your company, then you need to embrace it, right? And we see that example. If I have $1 billion on the balance sheet and it's in cash, I'm losing $200 million a year. You're draining money out the balance sheet. And if it's not on the P&L, you're not bringing it in on that side. So you're sucking energy out of the company with the conventional treasury strategy. And when we flipped, we started injecting energy into the company. It's like jacking your company into the electric power grid. If you look at successes like Square and PayPal, by them plugging into Bitcoin, it injected energy into their P&Ls. I mean, and they're just wonderful success stories in the industry. And when we injected, are you doing something good for 8 billion people? Like, here's an interesting thing. I go on CNBC, and I look on Twitter, and I find like my interviews run 750,000 times on Twitter. And I said to my friend Eric, I said, what's CNBC's audience? And he goes, oh, they only have about 180,000 people watching. And then I said, how did this play against other stories, okay? The CEO of ExxonMobil went on CNBC to talk about the most important thing in the business. He had 4,000 views. The CEO of Apple Computer goes on CNBC, 12,000 views. Barry Diller goes on CNBC and he talks about how he hates Apple Store and how the entire mobile app ecosystem is wrecked, 12,000 views. And so I think the story here is Bitcoin is hope for 8 billion people. If your company is going to be meaningful to the world, do something to spread Bitcoin. And if your company is sitting on a balance sheet that's investing their money into an asset which is losing 20% of its value every year, you know, here's a good idea, right? Stop the bleeding, right? Just stop the bleeding.
Right. So finally, let's just talk about the cyber hornets. On your Twitter, the lead tweet is the mentions of cyber hornets, the plebs, the meme artists, the ground forces, the people who are fighting every day in the trenches, who are fighting for those 10 Satoshis, 20 Satoshis, who are spinning the wheel over its fold for another, 20 Satoshis. How important are they to this Renaissance 2.0?
I think that the reason that Bitcoin is going to win is because of the community ethos. And when I refer to cyber hornets, yeah, I refer to everybody on Twitter and everybody in the community that's educating the world and defending Bitcoin. Yeah, and they're the loud in-your-face cyber hornets. But I was also thinking about every Bitcoin miner running a Bitcoin mining rig everywhere on Earth, and they're fighting for the network. And I was thinking about everybody running a node. And I think of a node as like an altar to Satoshi in your house. As long as everybody is running that node, they're defending the network and they're defending the movement. And I was thinking about every company, and I was thinking about every single technology that integrates into Bitcoin. I was thinking about every analyst and every politician and every journalist that's defending, speaking out for, educating, or supporting this network. And it's happening in every country. In Korean, in Japanese, in Spanish, in Russian, everywhere on Earth. And one thing that I just love is, if you go on television and you're the CEO and someone says, what do you think about Bitcoin? I think, okay, I'm going to talk about this and try to explain to the world why this is good for the Earth, good for technology, the future of humanity. And then when I get done, I go home and I turn on the television, there's another Bitcoin CEO. And then the next morning, there's another Bitcoin CEO, and the next day there's an analyst, and the next day there's a politician. And I just think that's so great to be in a community Every one of them is a cyber hornet. They're all fighting for Bitcoin. And when someone falls, someone else will stand up and carry the banner and take it forward. And I don't think you can say that about anything else on this earth.